Absolutely. Here's the translation of the tie hook and call to action into English, keeping it suspenseful, curiosity-driven, and engaging for your viewers. Hashtag, hashtag, hashtag clapperboard, hook plus call to action, English. Hook, midnight to 010. Have you ever wondered, what if the staircase in your house keeps getting longer every time you climb it? And what's waiting at the top might be something you never expected. Suspense plus call to action, around 20 to 30%. And as the staircase keeps growing, mysterious sounds start following your every step. If you want to find out whether Emma will survive the staircase and hear more spine-chilling stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Optional reminder / before key suspense moment. Every step on this staircase could be a trap or an opportunity. Subscribe so you don't miss the next terrifying story, and share your ideas in the comments. If you want, I can integrate this hook and CTA throughout your full story script, so that every suspense point, viewers are encouraged to subscribe and comment naturally. Do you want me to do that? Here's a full YouTube storytelling script tailored to your theme. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. Written for voiceover delivery with cinematic suspense. Hashtag clapperboard YouTube script. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. / hook midnight to 010. What would you do if every time you climbed your own staircase, it grew longer? Not just a step, not just two, but dozens. And at the top, something was waiting. / setup 010 to 1:30. It started on a quiet Tuesday night. Emma had lived in that old townhouse for 3 years. Same walls, same rooms, same wooden staircase leading up to her bedroom. But that night, when she reached the landing, she realized something terrifying. She had taken 30 steps. Her stairs only had 12. At first, she thought she was tired, distracted. Maybe she miscounted. But when she looked down, the floor below was impossibly far away. The staircase was stretching. / build up 1:30 to 4 o'clock. Each night, it grew worse. 12 steps became 20. 20 became 50. The air grew colder the higher she climbed. And sometimes she swore she heard breathing, not her own, something above her. By the 4th night, Emma tried running up as fast as she could. But no matter how fast she moved, the top kept pulling farther away. The walls around her started to warp, the wallpaper peeling into shapes she swore looked like faces. And when she finally reached the top, gasping for air, her bedroom door wasn't there, just another staircase, even longer. / CTA / for :00. If you're hooked already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more chilling stories like this. Trust me, what happens next will keep you up tonight. / main climax 4 to 6:30. On the 5th night, Emma tried something different. She turned around halfway up the stairs, and that's when she saw it. The bottom of the staircase was gone. The living room had vanished. All she could see was darkness swallowing everything below. And in that darkness, 2 faint, glowing eyes. Watching her, her legs trembled. She gripped the banister. And then she heard a voice, a whisper drifting up from the black. It said, "Keep climbing." / cliffhanger ending 6:30 to 7 o'clock. Emma doesn't remember how she got back into her room that night. She woke up in her bed, shaking with splinters in her hands. But when she checked her staircase the next morning, it had 13 steps. And she knows tonight there will be more. To be continued. Perfect. Let's continue right where we left off. This will be part 2 of The Stairs Keep Getting Longer Every Time I Climb Them. I'll keep the same cinematic voiceover style, suspense-driven pacing, and leave another shocking cliffhanger at the end. Hashtag clapperboard YouTube script. Part 2. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. / recap hook midnight to 020. Last time, Emma discovered her staircase was growing longer every night. And when she looked down, she saw glowing eyes in the dark whispering, *, keep climbing. *. Now, the stairs are changing again. Setup 020 to 130. By the sixth night, Emma had convinced herself she was hallucinating. Stress, lack of sleep, maybe even a breakdown. But when she looked at the staircase in daylight, it wasn't the same. 13 steps. Polished wood. That didn't quite match the rest of the house. Like they had been replaced. Recently. But Emma lived alone. No one had been inside. Build up 1:30 to 4 o'clock. That night, she set up her phone to record herself climbing. She pressed record, placed a camera at the bottom, and began. Step after step, she whispered the numbers out loud. 11, 12, 13, 14. By the time she reached 30, her knees were shaking. The landing never came. And behind her, the camera light flickered before shutting off completely. When she picked it up the next morning, the footage was corrupted, but one frame remained. A still image. Her halfway up the staircase. And something tall, pale, and bent crawling on the steps behind her. /midstory CTA for :00. If this story has you gripping your seat, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next terrifying moment. Because what Emma sees next is worse than any nightmare. /main climax for 6:30. On the seventh night, Emma finally lost control. She screamed into the dark staircase, demanding to know what it wanted. The whisper came again, closer this time. Keep climbing. Her chest tightened, but she obeyed. She climbed until her legs burned, until her throat was raw. And finally, after what felt like hours, she reached the door. Not her bedroom door. This one was old, rotted, its handle rusted. Her hand shook as she turned it. And when the door creaked open, a smell of damp earth rushed out. It wasn't a room. It wasn't even part of her house. It was a tunnel, dirt walls, wooden beams, and deep, echoing voices calling her name. /cliffhanger ending 6:30 to 7 o'clock. Emma stood frozen at the threshold, because carved into the dirt wall of that tunnel was a message, scratched deep like fingernails tearing through soil. It read, "Welcome back. To be continued." Got okay, Ann. Here's part 3 of The Stairs Keep Getting Longer Every Time I Climb Them. We'll pick up right where we left off, with Emma staring at that tunnel and the chilling message, "Welcome back." This part will take her deeper into the mystery, raise the stakes, and end on an even darker cliffhanger. #Clapperboard YouTube script, part 3. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. /recap hook midnight to 0:20. Last time, Emma finally reached the top of the endless staircase. But instead of her bedroom, she found a rotting door and a dirt tunnel carved with the words, "welcome back." Now, she has no choice but to step inside. /setup 0:20 to 1:30. The tunnel smelled like wet soil and rusted iron. Every step echoed like a drumbeat in the earth. The deeper Emma walked, the more wrong everything felt. Her staircase should have ended at her bedroom. Instead, it was leading her underground into something much older than her house. Build up 1:30 to 4 o'clock. She pressed her phone flashlight against the dirt walls. They weren't random scratches. They were names. Dozens. Hundreds. Each etched deep into the soil. Some names she recognized. Neighbors who had gone missing years ago. And then her breath caught, because one name carved into the wall was her own. Suddenly, the tunnel shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. And in the distance, footsteps began to echo, heavy, uneven, dragging something along the dirt. Emma killed her light, but it was too late. /midstory CTA for :00. If you're gripped by this story, hit subscribe right now, because what's about to emerge from the tunnel is something you'll never forget. /main climax for 6:30. The footsteps grew closer, and with them a sound, a slow, rasping breath, like lungs full of mud. Emma pressed herself against the wall, praying it would pass, but the thing stopped just inches away. Her phone flickered back on for a split second, and in that flash of light, she saw it, a figure stretched tall and thin, skin like clay, Its face smeared with dirt, eyes wide and glowing. It didn't look alive. It looked dug up, and in its hand, it held something, a piece of wood, one of her missing stair steps. It lifted the wood toward her and whispered, "We're still building." Cliffhanger ending, 6:30 to 7 o'clock. Emma bolted down the tunnel, her scream swallowed by the earth. But no matter how far she ran, she could hear more footsteps, more voices, more builders. And then ahead of her, another staircase appeared, even longer, stretching endlessly upward into the dark. She realized the truth too late. The stairs weren't just growing. They were a trap, to be continued. Perfect. Let's dive straight into part 4 of Asterisk. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. Asterisk. This time, Emma will be forced to face the true purpose of the staircase, but we'll leave it on a darker cliffhanger to keep the tension burning. #Clapperboard YouTube script. Part 4. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. /recap hook midnight to 0:20. Emma thought she had escaped, but inside the tunnel, another staircase appeared. And now, the builders are behind her. The only way forward is up. /setup 0:20 to 1:30. The new staircase was nothing like the one in her home. This one was raw. Planks would nailed together at crooked angles. The steps dripped with fresh soil, as if they'd just been pulled from the ground. Behind her, the voices grew louder. Dozens of them, chanting her name in unison. Emma gripped the railing. Her only choice was a climb. /build up 1:30 to 4 o'clock. Step after step, the chanting faded. But the higher she climbed, the stranger became. Her house appeared below her, shrinking, tilting, swallowed by shadows. The air grew heavy, humid, like she was climbing into something alive. And then the walls began to pulse. Not wood, not dirt, flesh. Each step throbbed beneath her feet, like she was climbing the ribs of something enormous, something buried deep beneath the world. And then she noticed blood seeping between the cracks in the wood. /midstory CTA for :00. If you're still here with me, hit subscribe right now, because what Emma finds at the top of this staircase will change everything you thought you knew. /main climax for the 6:30. At last, Emma saw light. A faint glow at the top of the stairs. She forced her shaking legs to move faster, her breath ragged, her hands slick with blood from the railing. When she reached the top, she collapsed on the floor, but it wasn't a tunnel anymore. It was a vast cavern. The walls were lined with staircases, spiraling upward into infinity, thousands of them, each leading to a glowing door. And on every staircase, she saw others, pale, trembling figures just like her, climbing endlessly. Some screamed, some sobbed. None of them looked back. And then Emma realized every single person's staircase was connected to hers, all feeding into one colossal structure, a structure that was still being built. /cliffhanger ending, 6:30 to 7 o'clock. Emma turned to run, but the builders were already there. Hands, dozens of them, pale and clawed, grabbed her arms, her legs. They dragged her toward one of the glowing doors. And as she fought to break free, she saw what was carved into the wood. 2 words. Words that made her blood run cold. Her room. To be continued. Excellent. Now we push into part 5 of Asterisk. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. Asterisk. This is where Emma is dragged toward the door marked her room. We'll escalate the horror, reveal part of the staircase's purpose, and leave it hanging on a devastating cliffhanger. #Clapperboard YouTube script. Part 5. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. /recap hook midnight to 0:20. Emma reached a cavern of endless staircases, but the builders seized her and dragged her to a glowing door. Carved into wood were 2 words. Her room. Now, she's about to learn what that means. /setup 0:20 to 1:30. Emma clawed at the ground, screaming, her nails ripping as the builders pulled her closer. The glow from the door grew brighter. A warm, yellow light, like a lamp in a safe bedroom. It looked comforting, familiar, but Emma's instincts told her the truth. That door wasn't safety. It was a cage. Build-up, 1:30 to 4 o'clock. The builders shoved her forward. The handle was ice cold, slick with something like sweat. She gripped it, refusing to open, until one of the builders leaned close to her ear and whispered, "It's been waiting." Her shaking hand twisted the knob. The door creaked open, and inside was a perfect replica of her childhood bedroom. The same peeling wallpaper, the same tiny desk, the same teddy bear she lost when she was 7. Emma froze, because she remembered this room had burned down in a fire she was never supposed to survive. /midstory CTA/ for :00. If you're hooked right now, make sure you hit subscribe, because the truth Emma uncovers inside this room is darker than anything so far. /main climax for 6:30. Emma stumbled inside, her breath shallow. Every detail was exact. Even the scorch marks creeping across the ceiling. Frozen in time, just before the flames consumed it. On the bed sat a photo album. She opened it with trembling hands. Every page was filled with pictures of her, not just as a child, as an adult, even photos she had never taken. Each one showed her on a staircase, different houses, different years, always climbing, always higher. And on the very last page, a photo she had never seen before. It showed her lying in this very room, eyes closed, hands folded across her chest, like a corpse. Cliffhanger ending, 6:30 to 7 o'clock. Emma dropped the album, her pulse racing. The walls of the room began to burn again, flames licking upward, but the builders didn't move. They just stood in the doorway, watching. And then, from behind her, a small voice spoke, the voice of a child. It said, "You were supposed to stay here." Emma turned and saw herself, a little girl sitting on the bed, smiling through the fire. To be continued. Absolutely. Now we move into part 6 of The Stairs Keep Getting Longer Every Time I Climb Them. This is where Emma confronts the child version of herself and begins to uncover the terrifying origin of the staircase. #Clapperboard YouTube script. Part 6. The Stairs Keep Getting Longer Every Time I Climb Them. /recap hook, midnight to 0:20. Emma's staircase nightmare has reached a new level. Inside the glowing replica of her burned-down room, she meets a small girl smiling at her, her own childhood self. /setup 0:20 to 1:30. The child doesn't speak. She just tilts her head, eyes wide, watching Emma with a knowing look. Behind her, the flames of the room lick higher, yet they don't burn the child. Emma steps closer, her legs trembling. Every instinct screams to run, but she knows she has to face this. Who are you?" she whispers. The little girl points toward the staircase that appears to be growing from the floor. And suddenly, Emma understands. /build-up, 1:30 to 4 o'clock. The staircase isn't random. It isn't a trap in the traditional sense. It's a memory, a construction of all the times Emma has climbed, all the choices she's made, all the lives she's touched and lost. Every step she's taken in her life is being rebuilt here, as if the house itself wants her to relive it. The child stands at the bottom of the staircase, smiling wider, and Emma realizes it's not just her. The staircase has claimed others. Their lives are trapped in the steps, their screams etched into the walls. And now, it wants her to join them. She looks at the little girl again. Her own lips move, whispering the words she doesn't want to hear. "I was supposed to stay here." /midstory CTA/ for :00. If you're still with me, hit subscribe now, because what Emma faces next will make your skin crawl. /main climax for 6:30. The little girl opens her mouth, but it's not a child's voice. It's Emma's voice. Old, hollow, echoing from somewhere deep below. "You cannot escape," it says. "You are part of it now." The walls shudder. The staircase begins to twist, folding over itself, growing taller, darker. The builders at the doorway begin to move, hands reaching for Emma. She bolts, racing up the steps. But each step drags her slower. The staircase pulses like a living thing, feeding on her fear. And at the top, a massive door looms, carved with symbols she doesn't recognize. It seems to breathe, inhaling the air around her. She reaches for the handle. Cliffhanger ending, 6:30 to 7 o'clock. And that's when the little girl, her childhood self, appears at the top step, blocking her, smiling, raising a hand, and whispers, "You can climb or you can stay." Emma freezes. The staircase groans beneath her, and the cavern of endless stairs waits silently, hungry to be continued. Absolutely. Now we move into part 7 of The Stairs Keep Getting Longer Every Time I Climb Them. This part forces Emma to make the impossible choice. Climb into the unknown or stay and face the consequences. Hashtag Clapperboard YouTube script. Part 7. The Stairs Keep Getting Longer Every Time I Climb Them. /recap, hook, midnight to 0:20. Emma has reached the top of the ever-growing staircase. Her childhood self stands before her, smiling, whispering, "You can climb or you can stay." The choice is hers, but the consequences are unimaginable. /setup 0:20 to 1:30. Emma's legs tremble. The staircase pulses beneath her feet like a heartbeat, louder, faster. The cavern of stairs stretches endlessly below and above. She glances back. The builders are waiting motionless. And she realizes whichever choice she makes, nothing will ever be the same. Her heart pounds. Her breath comes in short gasps. /build up 1:30 to 4 o'clock. If she climbs, she will enter the unknown. The glowing door at the top promises answers or death. If she stays, the little girl will pull her into the room, trapping her as a permanent part of the staircase. The thought makes her stomach twist. The child tilts her head, eyes glinting. "You know what will happen if you don't climb," she says in Emma's hollow voice. "I've seen it waiting for you." The staircase groans louder. Shadows coil around the steps like tendrils. Every step Emma has ever taken seems to echo through the cavern. Memories, fears, regrets, they're all here, building the stairs higher, darker. She swallows hard. Tears blur her vision. /midstory CTA/ for :00. If your heart is racing, hit subscribe now, because what happens when Emma chooses could break the staircase forever or trap her for all eternity. /main climax for 6:30. Emma lifts her hand. She takes a trembling step toward the glowing door. The little girl moves to block her, but this time, Emma notices something terrifying. The child is not just a child. Her body flickers like a shadow, half alive, half made of stairs. And with each blink, more of the cavern seems to shift, folding reality itself. Emma runs up the final steps. The door looms closer, breathing like a living being. She reaches for the handle, and suddenly, the builder's hands grab the staircase itself. The steps tilt violently. Emma slides down, then catches herself on a railing that wasn't there a second ago. The little girl whispers again, "You can't leave, not yet." /cliffhanger ending, 6:30 to 7 o'clock. Emma hangs onto the railing, heart hammering. The glowing door waits just inches above her. The staircase beneath her twists and stretches, growing taller, longer, hungrier. She realizes the truth. The staircase doesn't just grow. It feeds. And now, it wants her more than ever. Her hand inches toward the door handle. To be continued. Absolutely. Now we'll move into part 9, slowing the pacing to gradually lead toward the climax and resolution, while keeping suspense and horror high. This is where Emma faces the staircase's full power and begins to understand her choices. #Clapperboard YouTube script, part 9. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. /recap, hook, midnight to 0:20. Emma has reached the apex of the shadow staircase. The massive figure looms over her, alive with every life it has claimed. Whispers echo. "You are ours. You are one of us." The chamber begins to collapse inward, and Emma must make her next move. /setup 0:20 to 1:30. Emma stands frozen, heart pounding. The air is thick, heavy with the weight of all the lives trapped in the staircase. Each whisper, each memory, each scream presses against her mind. Her body wants to run. But the shadow figure is everywhere, pulsing with life and hunger. The child, her childhood self, steps forward. Her voice, once innocent, now carries the echo of hundreds of trapped souls. "You climbed this far," she says softly. "You can either surrender or find your own path." Build up 1:30 to 4 o'clock. Emma realizes the truth. The staircase is not invincible. It survives on fear and submission. The longer she hesitates, the more it pulls her in. She takes a slow step back, then another, and then she starts to climb down. Every step downward feels heavier. The whispers grow louder, begging her to stop. The shadow figure swirls around her, arms reaching, trying to pull her back up. But Emma focuses on her own breathing, her own resolve. She thinks of the first time she noticed the staircase growing, of every person lost, every step taken in terror. She refuses to become part of the collection. Slowly, carefully, she moves downward. /midstory CTA/ for :00. If you're still with me, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because the final steps Emma takes could break the curse or trap her forever. /main climax for 6:30. With each downward step, the staircase resists. The planks twist and stretch. The builders try to grab her. The shadows claw at her. Emma feels her strength waning. But then she remembers the first photograph in the album, the one that showed her lying on a bed, eyes closed. Her survival depends on facing the staircase without fear. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and imagines herself walking as if the staircase is normal, harmless. The shadows recoil. The staircase shudders, then stills. Her steps become easier. The glow of the door fades, the whispers quiet. And at last, Emma reaches a landing that feels real. The floor beneath her is solid. The builders are gone. The cavern of endless stairs begins to fade into darkness. /cliffhanger/resolution transition, 6:30 to 7 o'clock. Emma collapses to her knees, exhausted. The staircase hasn't disappeared entirely. She can still feel its presence lurking. But for the first time, she is free to choose her path. The chamber whispers one last word as she rises. This isn't over. To be continued. Absolutely. Here's a final episode/ending that gracefully closes Emma's story, resolves the main suspense, but still leaves a subtle lingering horror to keep it memorable for viewers. #Clapperboard YouTube script. Part 10, final episode. The stairs keep getting longer every time I climb them. /recap hook, midnight to 0:20. Emma has survived the endless staircase, the shadow figure, and her childhood self's haunting whispers. The stairway's grip weakened, but she still feels its presence. Now it's time to face the final choice, freedom or surrender. /setup 0:20 to 1:30. Emma takes a deep breath, feeling the solid ground beneath her feet. The cavern, once alive with shadows and stairs stretching endlessly, is quiet. The builders have vanished. The child, her younger self, is gone. Yet in the distance, faint echoes linger. Memories of the staircase, the trapped souls, the terrifying glow. She knows she cannot simply ignore it. Build up 1:30 to 3:30. Emma begins walking slowly toward the exit. Every step is deliberate, mindful. She refuses to let fear guide her. As she approaches the mouth of the tunnel, a final whisper brushes against her mind. One day you'll return. She freezes for a moment, shivering, but keeps moving. Her hand grazes the tunnel wall, though it feels normal, solid, real, and when she steps into the daylight. /main climax, 3:30 to 5 o'clock. The sunlight hits her face. The air smells fresh. The world feels real again. Emma turns back once. The tunnel mouth is gone. No trace of the cavern. No endless staircases. She takes a deep breath. The nightmare has ended. For now. /resolution 5 to 6 o'clock. Emma returns to her home. The staircase in her townhouse is normal. 12 wooden steps, exactly as it should be, but she carries a new awareness. Fear feeds the stairs, and memory, unresolved, can trap a person forever. She places the old photograph album back on the shelf. The pages are blank, but she knows the truth. The staircase still exists somewhere, waiting for the next climb. Emma sits, exhausted, but alive. She has survived. She has chosen courage over fear. Final line / lingering chill, 6 to 6:30. And as she closes her eyes at night, the faint sound of wooden steps echoing far away reminds her some stairs never end. The end. This ending gives Astra's closure to Emma's arc. Astra's staircase thread is resolved for now, but still leaves a subtle, haunting thread. Astra's emotional satisfaction with suspenseful undertones, perfect for true crime / ghost story audiences. If you want, I could also create a final narration-ready script version formatted perfectly for YouTube voiceover timing, with pauses and suspense cues ready to record. Do you want me to do that?